The New Galactic Era, Space Voyages, science fiction novel by Maria Obydenna. Chapter 8, White Snow. Great-grandfathers believed that nothing was more direful than a bloody war or armed confrontation between humans. When flying machines were invented, it seemed to people that the most terrible thing was the bombing of the surface from the air, the dropping of hydrogen, atomic, neutron bombs, and nuclear winter. This was a pivotal time when humanity fought for control over a specific territory on the planet, its native land. People of the Age of Biocrits cannot imagine that someone on Earth fought for control over its surface and defended the borders of state unities. Many people died in these senseless, incomprehensible wars. Over the history of mankind, there have been more than 20,000 wars in which up to 5 billion people died. A lot. In the Age of Biocrits, fewer people died than in the previous historical periods. Many years have passed since wars claimed human lives. Once upon a time, humans shed hot red blood, protecting themselves and their property from destruction by creatures like themselves. In the Age of Biocrits, absolutely everything can be destroyed, including the primary repository of genetic information for any biological species, the macromolecule deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA. It stores and transmits from generation to generation the genetic program of living organisms on Earth. Over a long period of wars, humanity slowly came to understand that interaction in cooperation is more profitable than military or political confrontation. More backward societies sought to seize natural resources. More developed societies sought to trade globally. And superhumanity sought to preserve their genes and protect themselves from biological destruction. And now, the time has come when man began a war for the genome, the set of DNA of the Earthling's organism. An unexpected attack of aggressive nanoviruses on the DNA of a human began. It was a sunny Earth summer day when a military outpost on Pluto began to lose its mind. The military installation was transformed into mindless cells controlled by nanoviruses that think, make decisions, negotiate, and control everything around humans. The time came when nanoviruses began to control even human life, the body, and the mind. The world was spinning out of control and going crazy. Everything that existed around was being destroyed and annihilated, and most importantly, someone had encroached on the human genetic code. "Roland," came the voice in the background, "the war has begun. The nanoviruses have gone mad and are attacking the military outpost on Pluto." It was General Gart from Mars. "The military facility on Pluto, led by Zay, has gone out of control. The nanoviruses have gained access to the intergalactic network of the solar system. They have begun to destroy the human genome, the basis of human life, which stores the program of the development of the body's cells and biological processes. Protection against nanoviruses was installed on the Mars Research Facility and others, but the team on Pluto did not have time. The facility commander, Zay, is not responding. We cannot identify the causes of the attack and the current situation. The administration has assigned Biocrits to tasks previously responsible by humans. Now, all processes have begun to be performed much faster. The malicious code that has entered the intergalactic network can edit and change biological human beings. Human genes that program cells, support life, carry out metabolism, and process energy are under threat. The energy processing algorithm encoded in human genes has been broken. The war has begun. The war of a new era for the existence of humans, General Gart added. On Pluto, the human code, the genome, had a protective barrier against cloning and any outside interference, but sometimes everything got out of control. Destructive nanoviruses could alter genes and protein production in human cells. The research facility on Pluto confirmed that mutant nanoviruses mercilessly destroy the human genome and turn people into mindless animals, like cattle in a stall. For the Age of Biocrits, absolutely everything can be hacked. The human genome is no exception. Hacking genes has become humanity's war for life. Previously, viruses affected only computer systems, but even in the robot age, virus attacks began to target intelligent humans. In the Age of Biocrits, various kinds of smart technology and the intergalactic grid have greatly simplified human life in the solar system. But it is precisely because of the presence of high-tech components in nodes, intergalactic facilities, and the intergalactic grid that people have become vulnerable. The latest order of Commander Zay was not to hire humans, but only biocrits, turning the planet into the center of their existence. This is exactly the case when, having realized itself, the new intelligence did two things. First, it tried to protect itself from destruction. Second, it destroyed the control system, the person who created it. Zay reported that aggressive nanoviruses began to model human genes and DNA 6 months ago, according to Earth time. With biocrits, whose intelligence is weaker, humanity faces no risks. People controlled them and could stop them if necessary. Biocrits could cause harm by mistake, but this would be the same if a dog bit them or a lion attacked them. Humanity has been living with these risks throughout its history. But nanoviruses began to edit human genes, and possibly biocrits. Even experienced scientists became afraid for the future of Earthlings. "How do nanoviruses destroy the human genome?" asked Tet. Destructive code, nanoparticles, ultra-small viruses, spreads through the biological network. It edits the DNA of people. Biocrits are connected to this network. Aggressive nanoviruses of various types and species with built-in intelligence penetrate living organisms everywhere. The code virus changes DNA and turns biocrits into stupid, crazy cattle, into beasts, into non-humans, General Gart added. People with a broken genome lose social significance. They lose the ability to think. "Why are these nanoviruses so sneaky?" Roland asked, excited. Code breakers, like a sculptor, model a person and change one according to their needs. "We have two enemies," General Gart noted. "Commander Zay, who controls the military base and does not interfere in saving people, and the aggressive nanoviruses that have gotten out of control and that we are trying to tame. We analyzed the human genome and found that malicious software code had been inserted into it. Nanoviruses, based on the destructive DNA code, began their war against humans. Commander Zay is not acting because he has nothing to feed the people. He belongs to the intelligent human species, but he only hires biocrits. He doesn't like people," Elisa explained. Nanoviruses have the ability to edit genes. They have been used repeatedly to modify the genetic code and in other similar experiments. At Pluto, scientists managed to use them as a tool for human modeling. But the nanoviruses spread across the planet and got out of scientists' control. "Unfortunately, it is not known for certain how many nanoviruses there are in the solar system." Elisa picked up on the story. "They are constantly changing their number. Sometimes the system identifies several nanoviruses that are harmful to humans, but there are cases when the system shows up to 100 nanoviruses on the network at the same time. They have different codes, names, modifications, and intentions. Then they disappear. Now, the danger is everywhere." Suddenly, the intercom rang. On the screen, the scientists saw one of the Pluto employees who had secretly contacted Commander Zay and tried to explain what had happened before the attack, hoping for help from the solar system's main leadership. "They stopped hiring people on Pluto because they can't work without air, and they work very slowly. We, the people, have become yesterday for Zay. Last year, 5,000 people became the past. We have biocrits running everything. People are not being hired," he said. "Zay is not fighting against the destructive nanovirus, and that's one of many problems. He won't help us. There's not much air at the military facility. It's very cold." "How many nanoviruses are there now?" asked Elisa. I can't say for sure, but according to my calculations, the worker said in an excited voice, about communication with the Pluto facility was suddenly lost. It was winter on Mars, cold. A long, snowy, and cold winter. On Pluto, nanoviruses were rampant, destroyers of human DNA. Aggressive nanoviruses resembled gray fog in pre-rainy weather. Despite significant technological advances, the planet had no atmosphere. Pluto had underground settlements with protective, heavy-duty ceilings and box-like homes. Biocrits do not require a mixture of nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide gases. Breathing oxygen is only available in dwellings where people breathe without special devices, but the air was gradually turning icy. Roland landed on Jupiter and immediately arrived at the science laboratory. He descended to the 21st floor of the building and turned on all the power to control the situation at Pluto. General Gart and Elisa, his best friends, joined him. "Hello, Roland," the Eatercom rang out. "You should know that the destructive genome code will evolve for some time, develop itself, provide people with the most primitive information, and when it gains control over the systems and the human body, it will announce, 'Yes, guys, now you have God,'" General Gart joked. "Roland, it is the devil's break code," Elisa picked up. "The nanoviruses continue to break the defenses of the Pluto military facility. Despite the fact that its external manifestations are quite easy to deal with, we cannot remove the virus itself from the human body and the planetary network at the moment. The only thing left is to constantly suppress the aggressive nanoviruses." General Gart always told the truth, even the unpleasant ones. "Xi has caused us many troubles, and even disrupted the work of the settlement," he said sadly. "Given the extremely complex situation, our laboratory advises using a special nanovirus scanner to monitor the current situation. Eavesdropping microdevices proved to be effective tools on Mars during the previous attack. Any living structure in one way or another communicates and transmits information to others. If we are talking about nanoviruses, they transmit different signal codes to one another. A group of scientists from Mars, while studying the features of this interaction, discovered a virus that can eavesdrop on signals, thereby choosing the optimal time for an attack. This will help preserve the viability of the entire human population. This is one of our best developments in the laboratory on Mars." The attack by aggressive nanoviruses had been ongoing for 3 Earth days. 3 days of a terrible war when half of the people on Pluto were infected with the destructive code. And scientists and military engineers realized that they would not be able to save them. War. The war of nanoviruses. The war of super-powerful intelligences. The war between people, between biocrits and viruses, between viruses and people, for life. It was getting very cold at Pluto. Extremely cold. Pluto's breath, ancient, unyielding, and colder than death. "It's done. The rescue code is ready to run. We extracted the DNA blueprint directly from the data vault," Elisa reported. "We will need to use deep freezing and destroy all biological creatures. This is the only way. We have no other escape." On the planet Earth, in a vault, there is a reference genome sample used in the event of attacks and other emergencies. The genome, a portrait of humanity, is a standard for reproducing people. Fortunately, the DNA chains are in the vault and undamaged. As the main weapons against nanoviruses, General Gart and Elisa used unique nanoparticles that can crystallize molecules and turn water into a solid state during deep freezing. Nanoparticles cannot be cloned and do not allow human cells to divide. Freezing will prevent the virus from further damaging the human genome and provide strong protection. The process of deep freezing of living organisms on Pluto has begun. The ominous, unbearable silence lasted for a long time. It was eerie and frightening, full of uncertainty. An Earth week passed. No news arrived. Roland always took the absence of news as a sign of bad news. He contacted the main military facility of the solar system. "What about the settlement on Pluto?" Roland asked General Gart. There was a silence. When nothing works, and even the brightest minds give up, there's only one thing left to do. Mourn your data. General Guard explained the current situation. In fact, this method is practically not used by anyone and is not a method in itself. Sometimes it is easier to restore data from backups than to deal with the consequences of a hurricane caused by a particularly harmful and aggressive nanovirus. The military facility on Pluto was destroyed and replaced. All defensive systems are active and holding steady. Krista, the new commander of Pluto, joined the conversation. Yes, thank you for the clarification, General Gart said. The solar system is now safe. In the science laboratory on Pluto, Krista saw a wave of screens turn green. Green, red, blue. Another system reboot returned her to a black screen. No nanoviruses detected on the network. A message appeared on every device in the science facility. Good. Krista felt better. A red sign on the control panel lit up, indicating identification was required. Krista entered the engineering compartment and placed her hand on a small platform. The red sign changed to green, and the entrance opened. The 2-meter-thick slab moved aside, and Krista entered the vestibule. Entry into the compartment only after sterilization, a mechanical voice said. Jets of gas shot from all sides. A second later, the gas dissipated, and in front of her, on a folding table, Krista saw white clothes and thin gloves. After changing clothes and putting on something like a helmet, she went through the door. She entered and stopped, stunned by the silence and white snow cleanliness. The intercom rang. Krista, congratulations! Long time no see, Roland greeted her. I hope everything is okay? Hello, Roland, replied Krista, the new commander of Pluto. Nice to hear from you. They say it's very cold on Pluto, he asked. This Earth year, it's an extremely cold winter in the solar system. Winter shouldn't be harsh, but a blanket of snow fell on Earth last night too. The deep freeze has completed, Krista reported. There are 10 people left on Pluto, and a lot of snow. White, white, white. Snow from the other side of the planet. The cryopreservation has worked. The nanoviruses have retreated. Roland looked at the planet Pluto with a new understanding and felt nothing but regret. This planet had opened up something new for him, something that would again be greater than anything Roland could have imagined. Winter. The black, heavy darkness of the night swallowed up the gaze, creating an extraordinary feeling of complete balance and peace. But this peace had nothing to do with self-concern. It forced him to calmly and thoughtfully reassess his thoughts, views, and feelings, to make the only right decision, which was so necessary for a human's further path and technological development. And it is only a matter of time before humans disappear as a species consisting of 70% water and requiring constant replenishment of vital cells with water. In 4 Earth days, the destructive code has spread and penetrated even into isolated pockets of intelligent life on Pluto. The nanovirus attack has been stopped. Influenced by protective genes and the deep freezing of all living organisms, broken human cells began to crystallize, forming an unbreakable crystalline structure resembling snow. Nanoviruses and the protective code turned the water cells in the human body and biocrits into a solid state. It became intolerably cold. A terrible frost has frozen everything living. Snow fell on Pluto. White, white snow. Real snow covered the surface of the planet. It is impossible to see it from Earth or Mars.